Welcome back to SHOT Show 2017 here in the Brownells booth. I'm Steve Ostrom, and today we have Geoffrey Herring with FightLite Industries, and he's brought some really cool AR-type platform weapons for us to look at. Jeff, what do you got to show us first?
Well, Steve, first, Brownells, thank you very much for having us. Brownells has been a terrific partner to FightLite Industries. We've used Brownells products for many, many years, and they've just always been an awesome partner. Even before we were a formal company, Brownells was our go-to to get even a Lumahide, or in the old early days of the AR, Brownells was the place to come. What I wanted to present to you is this is our MCR. This is a mission configurable rifle. It is belt fed and magazine fed capable, and features gas piston operation, a quick change barrel, and dual feed operation. So when you think about barrels, for example, and the ability to change them, most people, maybe use a wrench or a torque wrench or something like that. What we've put together is you literally lock the bolt open, you press this lever, and you pull the barrel. It's that quick.
That is so cool. Every time I see that, I love it.
So for mission flexibility, the U.S. Army is actually testing this system right now as a potential replacement for the 249 saw. Our weapon comes in at 8.5 pounds. The saw is 17 pounds. We are select fire capable, so we, from the military side, can range point and area targets. And being able to change a barrel that quickly over, say, an AR, a typical M4, we can go to CQB barrels in 3 seconds, literally 3 seconds. So
that's amazing.
It
makes it look so easy.
Yeah, and so as long as that bolt's locked back, press that button in, the lever, give the barrel a twist, it locks up. It's a tapered latch pin, so it just locks up
and you're ready to rock just that quick.
Yep. We actually locate this barrel in 2 points, both in the rear and in the front bulkhead of the handguard.
Okay.
Now this barrel is something that we used to ship, and we had discontinued it, but the demand has spiked again for it. And this is a fluted barrel that's very reminiscent of the Stoner 63A Mark 23 barrels from Vietnam that the Navy SEALs used. Takes a lot of the weight out, increases surface area and cooling. So look at that from Brownells.
Plus, it just looks cool. It looks really nice.
It does. To load the weapon, this is your charge. So one key thing about this, Steve, that I want to tell you and your audience is that the lower receiver for this system is a standard M4 lower. You can fit this top end to AR-15 or M16 or CAR-15 going all the way back to the Colt Armalite 01s in 1963. So we can go back 54 years of AR-15 M16, attach our upper by simply changing the bolt catch, main action spring, and running an HP buffer. We can retrofit.
Nice.
Okay.
Well, when you do a lot of shooting from the prone, it's nice to be able to reach up with your offhand and
absolutely. One
charge the weapon.
One of the criticisms I would offer about legacy systems being ambidextrous right in the back is that you definitely have to break contact to cycle that weapon.
You do.
And if you're in a quick scenario, competition shooting, that can slow you down a lot.
Right. This is more like shooting an FAL or something as far as the...
Yeah, absolutely. So to load a magazine, it's literally just like a standard AR-15, and it does lock open on last round fired, and it cycles. So your manual of arms is the same.
Oh, that is nice.
Yep.
Beautiful.
And then to go to a belt, very simple.
Here comes the good part.
You just push this button forward, lift the top cover, and you lay the ammunition belt in there. And it's just that simple.
Wow.
So it's very similar. Anybody that's ever fired an M60 or a 249, an M240, for example, even the MG42s, they would appreciate how easy that belt is to load. You load it brass to the grass. What that means is the links are always up on top when you lay that belt in the feed tray.
Okay.
Now, the nice thing about belts is you can twist a belt. So say you're halfway through a belt, you don't need that starter tab. So this starter tab being this little part, you don't need that at all.
Okay.
So that's the nice thing about belts.
Are these standard military links here?
These are what the U.S. government, it's actually a NATO standard. It's called the M27 link.
Okay.
And it is the standard issue link for all NATO forces for 5.56 by 45 millimeter weapons.
And those are available in the surplus market, aren't they?
They are.
Fairly cheap?
They are. We recommend Even though you can use these over and over and over, if you properly pick up, they're not stepped on. The problem with the used surplus links is they get inevitably stepped on. They come out of a place like Camp Lejeune. Marines have been stepping all over them, and then so you can get bad links, and if you're not savvy to pick up on that as you're linking that ammo, it can cause a stoppage.
You guys offer links for sale?
We do, and in fact, Brownells stocks those links also. Okay. So Brownells does have those. Yeah. They're offered in packages of 100 and 500 links per pack in retail packaging. So
sweet.
To drop the belts just that quick.
Moving parts inside there.
There's not.
I was expecting a lot more to be going on with the feed mechanism.
It's what we call a two-step shuttle feed. I want to take you through a breakdown of this weapon because actually before we do the breakdown, I just want to talk about the mag adapter because I showed you a loose belt, but ammunition handling on a belt fit is important because it keeps the ammo manageable. You're not dragging it around through the mud or anything like that. So we have this magazine adapter. Magazine adapter fits in just like a standard mag. Okay. We take standard issue. This is a 100 round, but we could run a 200 round saw box. Just that simple. It couples right onto the adapter.
Oh, very nice.
So we can hit the mag release and we can go straight to a mag. It's that quick to change between belt or mag on the MCR system. So when you load the 100 round bag in, you load it there, you lift this, you lay the belt, and you're ready to fire.
For all it does, it seems very simple in the design.
We, we exhaust, when we're designing weapons, we go through justification after justification to be sure that we're putting in the highest quality, highest performing solution to the problem that we're trying to solve. When we were designing the system, we looked at sprocket feeds. We looked at what they call a one-step shuttle feed. Right. And a one-step shuttle feed uses the energy of the recoil stroke and the mass of the carrier group to cycle that, to advance the belt into the next position. We chose what's called a two-step shuttle feed, and that means it's partially advancing that belt, whether, in both strokes. So in other words, on recoil, it's advancing about part way, and then on counter recoil it's stripping, and as soon as that round leaves the front loop, the belt advances some more into position, and that cycle repeats.
Is that a little easier on the system overall?
It is. So what you end up with is if you ever take high-speed video of a belt fed, if you go and look at an RPD or an M60 or MG34, or Stoner 63,
right.
The belt has a very herky-jerky kind of, flopping around out here. The two-step shuttle feed is a very smooth feed, so it just smoothly feeds in. And I'll show you, one of the things that was important in designing this was captive detent pins, cross pins, so you can't lose a 1/4-inch pin and be out of the game. So all the pins in the system are captive.
Now that thing's wide open for too.
Just that easy. And I'm going to show the systems, the MCR is designed. The cartridge is the only tool necessary to break it down, completely break it down into those basic components. The two-step, you can see there's a roller. There's a spring-loaded roller on top of the bolt carrier that goes into this channel, and as your bolt carrier is cycling back and forth, it's driving a cam lever arm, and it's advancing these, what we call the feed pawl mechanism. Okay, so that, again, it advances partway, and then on the recoil, it advances some more. So these pawls take turns advancing that ammunition belt, and then these are called cartridge followers of that cartridge, presented to the feed tray. So on a belt fed, your feed tray is where the ammunition sits.
I got a feeling we're looking at a lot of months of research and development there.
There was actually a few years that went into the R&D on this system. For us, the devil's in the details. We feel if we're going to put our name on anything, it has to be the best we're possibly capable of delivering. So we put a lot of effort into radius corners. All of your corners have edge breaks. The only place we don't do that is on the 1913 rail, and it's because it takes it outside of the mill spec to round everything off.
Got to be a rasp.
It has to be a rasp, Steve. You're absolutely right.
I'm still impressed by the small number of parts in this gun and for all it does. I've looked at a lot of gun designs over the years.
Have you?
This is impressive.
Well, thank you.
Really impressive.
We use over 50% of the parts that are in the top end alone are already in, like our firing pin is a standard M16 firing pin, for example.
Nice.
So we have a lot of commonality, with so your supply chain and for military and law enforcement supply chains there, and also for commercial users. The supply chain also for your spare parts is very.
Anything special about the buffer and the spring?
There is. We run, and I'll take that out and show you that. Let me go ahead and show you a breakdown of this system real quick. We're going to test that out.
That's still fun to watch.
And there's an operating rod here. We have to. There's a little lever that can move over. This detented takes the rod out. We ease the bolt forward. We're going to use our standard takedown.
A lot like an AR takedown.
Just like an AR. If you can field strip an AR-15, you'll have no problem because that's.
And that bottom end is a pure AR.
Yep. So the only thing that you change on your AR to fit it to the MCR technology is the bolt catch, which is a very simple, straightforward changeout, and the main action spring and buffer. This is a higher force spring because it takes more energy to strip rounds out of those links than it does out of the magazine. And we typically run an H3 buffer.
Okay.
To cancel what's called bolt bounce. They was famous for it.
It is. Yep.
So your standard M4 or M16 AR-15, if you tip that, your carry will fall out in the dirt, right?
It's happened to me.
Doesn't happen on this at all. Nice. Because our feed roller.
You've got that.
So we press down on this feed roller, pull the carry back, we rotate it 90 degrees, and that's how it comes out of the receiver. Charging handle comes back and lifts right out. And then to take this down, it's very much like an AR-15. You take the firing pin, retaining pin out, you pull out the feed roller assembly, and then your cam pin, etc., come out just like an AR.
So you could break this completely down in about a minute and a half, something like that?
Yep, we've timed it. We've done it disassembled and reassembled in less than a minute.
Oh, wow.
Out at Paso Park.
Well, you've been practicing.
Yeah, I've got a little bit of practice.
Might take me a little longer.
One thing I want to point out about this, and we'll talk about it some more going forward, is the bolt lug geometry that's in the MCR is a true sustained fire bolt. It's not a assault rifle or modern sporting rifle duty cycle type of bolt. It is designed for real sustained firing operations. Okay. And it's critical because, for the integrity of the bolt, let's face it, you have 55,000 to 70,000 PSI upon firing in a 5.56 weapon. And if you have a failure of that breech, either the bolt or the barrel extension, you're not containing 55,000 pounds per square inch of pressure, and that's a lot. So it was very important that we designed that bolt correctly, and it has worked out so well for us that we have another product we'll talk about shortly that now uses that bolt. Brand new product from FightLite Industries. Okay.
Yeah, I've seen the conventional bolts fail under sustained fire.
Yep, they're famous. Google M4 kaboom will turn up a lot.
Yeah, can get tricky.
Yep.
So you've got this thing all broken down as far as it needs to be taken down, basically, for regular maintenance.
Yep.
Which isn't going to be much because there's not a lot of moving parts.
Well, we have a 4-position adjustable gas system.
Everything in there is accessible to a toothbrush or whatever. Blow it out with compressed air.
Sure is. This is piston operated, as I mentioned earlier. So your piston cycles within the barrel assembly.
Right.
When you change out your barrel, the piston has gone with it. So all of your heat generating source has gone with the barrel change.
Wow. Plus you've got a new clean piston and cylinder.
Exactly. It's analogous to in the middle of a car race, you swap the whole engine, you have a brand new engine, and it's just that quick.
It kind of is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a neat idea.
But it was, so it's what we call a short stroke tappet system. and that means that the piston only cycles, half of an inch or so.
Similar to an M14 or something.
Yes, exactly like an M14. Yep. Yeah, or an M60, only a much more portable kind of arrangement. You want to put it back together yourself?
Well, I'd like to give it a try. Let's see. We have to do charging handle first.
Charging handle first.
Yep.
Just bring it right up at the side. Just lay it flat.
Oops.
Back slightly. Just slide it straight forward. Push it all the way in.
Oh, I don't have to leave it hanging like a regular charging handle?
Now this, you extend your bolt forward.
Rotate it.
Bring your lug into that window and rotate it.
And then depress the cam.
Yeah, now one thing I like to do, let me just... Quick little thing. I like to point this downward so that I'm using gravity to help keep that bolt straight.
Oh,
so it'll slide in.
Nice.
Because your cam pin has to orient the same track as the charging handle or, the charging handle system.
Okay. From here,
so you could take...
I could put the cover on now?
You can put the cover on now if you want to go there, or you could put the receiver.
Let's do it the receiver.
Okay.
Then it'll stand
Standard
up.
takedown.
Stand up nicely. Oops. I can almost see what I'm doing here. Okay, that's back together.
Yep.
Typical AR.
Yep.
Put this on next.
You'll want to put your feed tray first.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's right. Make sure I put it on correctly.
Yep.
This is the. There we go.
Yep.
This is the intake here.
Yep. What you want to do is you just want to pull this bolt back slightly, and
drops
lay
into
this
place.
in. Yep.
Okay.
And then you'll align your top cover, or what we call a feed cover, because it houses the feed mechanism. There you go.
Man, that's not bad.
Yep.
Now wait a minute. What do I do now?
So now you can just go ahead and close the cover.
Just.
Yep. There you go. Now what I like to do is
easy.
lock. I like to lock the bolt open at this point before I install the rod system. Here, I'll give you a hand with it.
Yeah,
since
would
I'm
you?
standing on this side.
Thank you.
This locks just like an AR. You just pull that back and press the bottom of the bolt catch.
All right.
Now your operating rod. Yep.
Do I need to depress this little?
You'll slide the op rod in part way and then slide that over. Yep. Slide. Look, I can't see the keeper from my angle, but yeah, you got it.
Okay, good.
So that's detented. Now, these springs are under force, so you want to treat that rod the same way you treat a loaded gun. It's under spring force, so you always want to be careful.
Just like taking the plug out of a 1911 recoil system.
Yeah.
Yep. Poke you right in the eye if you're not careful.
Yeah. So now it's the barrel.
Wow.
Now remember, the key thing here is that your bolt's locked back.
That's right.
And it is. We verified the bolt's back.
Cool.
You want to depress this fully and hold it down until your barrel gets all the way in. All the way in. And then release this and give it a slight twist. There you go. Steve, you've done it.
Wow. That's impressive. With a little practice, I could be under a minute on that, I think.
Yeah, it's once you've done it a few times, it's just like anything, just like breaking down a 1911, it's just second nature.
Well, in the past, I've seen attempts at doing a belt-fed AR, and they were always kind of cobbled together, and they weren't well thought out. But there's nothing on this gun that doesn't belong in there. I mean, all the unessentials have been taken away, it looks to me.
Well, it's just like I tell our R&D team, and I guess I'm tooting our own horn a little bit because I feel that we have one of the best R&D teams in the firearm business. There's a difference between a good product and a terrific product, and those little details are really what bring it home. It's the little attention to detail at the very end. It's the contributions that you're looking at. We're anticipating not just a commercial market but a military market when we design the system, and so we think I have not been in combat, but I can put myself in somebody's shoes who might be away from home. They're deployed. They're dirty. They're tired. They don't need a cut on their hand because somebody didn't deburr an edge properly.
True.
So we take a lot of painstaking measures to make sure everything's smooth. You're not going to cut your hand and things like that. It's easy to operate with gloves or without.
And parts don't fly out when you try to disassemble it just to clean it a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. You're absolutely right.
That is well thought out. I like it. I like it.
And then we have different length barrels. So this is a 16-inch barrel in this model. And we have the 12.5-inch, and we have 20-inch barrels that not as popular because SBR is kind of the thing.
True.
But they have been available as well. You can run full-length stocks. You can change out all the ergonomics, and that's part of why we chose this system. Is it is the most, in my opinion, it is the AR-15 platform is by far the most ergonomic platform in the firearm industry.
And so easy to modify if you want to.
Exactly.
So easy.
Exactly.
It just makes so much sense. And like you said, this top end can be put on any AR.
Correct.
Or you can buy it as an entire firearm.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Yep.
All right, that covers that. What else do you want to show us today?
Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't we talk about our
Let me put this down.
Sure. We'll talk about our FightLite SCR.
Now this is pretty cool looking.
Yep. And there's a funny story behind that, and I'll tell you about it. The SCR stands for Sport Configurable Rifle. The development of it really started back around 2003, and it was, if you'll recall back then, we were still all under the Clinton assault weapon ban.
Yes, indeed.
And none of us in the industry, let's face it, we don't usually get any rights that are taken away. We usually don't get them back. And I was sitting in my office one day, and I had a Remington H70 sitting on the floor. And I was looking at thumb hole stocks and other contraptions, and I thought, it just doesn't look like a gun, and I have to feel good about my firearms. I'm a gun guy, and I just couldn't get my head around thumb hole stocks and things like that. And I don't even know what struck me, but I just had this idea that I wonder if we could put an AR-15 top end on that kind of a stock. And I took an AR top end and I laid it down on the 870 receiver, and I said, I could see it.
On an 870 receiver? Wow.
Yeah, I just had an 870 shotgun laying on my office floor, and I was just, I don't know if I was daydreaming that day or what, but it just kind of hit me that I don't want thumb hole stocks, and I didn't think the sunset would ever, I didn't think it'd happen. I really didn't. I was betting money it would not occur. But as soon as I laid that receiver on top of the shotgun, I could see this product, kind of emerge from that. Now, what happened eventually was that the federal assault weapon ban did sunset, and everybody started putting flash hiders and telescoping stocks back on their, pegged open stocks and things like that. So we focused a lot on the R&D, but it was not at the pace, we're still reducing it to practice. But when we finally, by the way, we redesigned this 4 times to get the ergonomics satisfactory, because our first attempts, it was very tough to get behind this receiver and have a trigger that feels right. When you think about your normal AR, your hand's down here. We're bringing our hand all the way up behind this firearm to reach the trigger, and it took 4 complete gun redesigns for us to nail it. And when we nailed it, we knew it.
Well, what I'm noticing is you can have your optic down lower rather than on a standard AR. That leads me to say, well, the stock is lower, but how do you do that with a recoil system?
I'll show you. I'll break this down.
That's got to be a trick.
Yep. So what the Sport Configurable Rifle, in short, what it is a, while our original intentions were kind of a beat the federal ban idea, the ban sunset, so that was no longer a thing. But when we started shooting it, something grew on us about it. We realized it was a lot faster to point, a lot more natural to point and shoot, much quicker. And I got to tell you, and I'm a guy that has shot ARs weekly since the 1980s. I've been shooting ARs at least weekly since the 1980s. That gun, once we got it right, man, we really felt, and we knew that we knew we had it. And then we realized, this thing's got longer legs than just beating the band. The band had come and gone, and we realized hunters, you can go prone with it. You have a lot less snag hazards.
It'll come out of a gun case much cleaner,
and it comes out of a 3-gun barrel a lot cleaner too.
Sure. But I'm thinking maybe a coyote hunter having this in his pickup, having to stop and get a shot off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be quite the thing.
Absolutely. So it's just like an AR-15.
Only not.
Only not. This is the magazine that we normally ship on. This is 5 rounds, so it's in a 10-round body, but it's a 5-round magazine. Okay. We have optional bolt catch.
And any AR mag will work, right?
Yep, any AR. So if you want to run a 30-round, P-mag, we love Magpul's products. They do great products, and we run P-mags on our stuff as well. So
hard to beat them.
Yep. Bolt catch in the standard spot. Okay. And we have different models of this. This particular one set up with a key mod handguard.
That is
5.7 pounds.
Really thin.
Yeah, shoulder that rifle. It's 5.7 pounds as a weapon weight.
Comes right up. It comes up like a shotgun.
It comes just like a shotgun. Now you think about that presentation when you're shooting skeet, and it comes up just that quickly on target.
But you still got the mag catch in the same place, dust cover.
Yep.
I see you've altered forward assist.
We didn't alter it.
Put something useful on there.
Well, all we did was we put in a quick detach sling swivel in its place.
I like that. That's very handy.
I don't have long enough fingers to push that button in, but basically it's a regular QD swivel.
And then you got key mod up here.
Sure do.
So you could attach a swivel up here anywhere you like.
Anywhere.
Wow. Wow.
Now our typical models don't have the, this particular unit has a threaded barrel on it, but our normal guns that we ship don't. You know, one of the silly pieces of legislation that always finds its way in these anti-gun bills is, you know, a threaded barrel, like, you know, it ends up being a military feature, even though most of us put muzzle brakes on instead of flash hiders. So, you know, we had the opportunity to help out all the gun people in New York and California and places like that while we were at it. So we designed a barrel system that doesn't have threads, but we also have designed a muzzle brake and flash hider that'll fit on those same barrels. So for those who, and if you go in the new product section there at SHOT Show, you'll see some of them standing up.
Wow.
It's just a little groove, but it's a kind of a compression fitting arrangement, and you know it's you know, and you know, and it's kind of a funny part of the industry because, you know, M4 guys' first reaction to that gun is, oh, it's a compliance gun. Oh, it's a featureless. It's not in my wheelhouse. But they don't stop to think that you don't have to live in a banned state to maybe have to travel through one day. For example, what if you wanted to load up your family and go camping in Maine, but you live in Kentucky? You kind of have to go through New York to get there, don't you?
Yep.
So
sure
do you take a you know, no protection, or if you want to go hunting in Maine? One neat thing about this is while we ship it in 5.56 by 45 chambering, you can put a 6.5 Grendel top end. You can put a 458 SOCOM,
just like
6.8. It'll take all of those normal AR rifle calibers. The sub calibers are a little bit different because it's tight. It's hard to find the space to put bolt mass in here on a blowback.
Okay.
But on a lock breech rifle caliber, we can run most of what you can run on an AR platform.
Nice. Can you tell us a little bit more about how the thing actually works, how
Sure.
you're getting away with that stock design?
I sure will.
That's what's really killing me.
So what we did was and again, you know, a cartridge being the only thing you need to take down this rifle also. This is your standard AR top end. Okay. And our lower end. Now, one thing that's key is, look at this. We're able to take the bolt hold open device out just like that. It's a modular sub-assembly. Now we did that for a reason. A couple of reasons. One, what if the legislation changes one day and they say that's a military feature? Well, now you can still just have a plug in there and you don't have a military feature. So I'm lifting the skirt a little bit about our motivations for some of these. You know, but again, all of these things when we're designing a weapon or a firearm, you know, we go through a series of Q&As on our team and say, you know, what we're looking for the best fit for the customer. That's really who we have ours. We're looking for the best fit for the customer. What's the best thing we can give that customer? You know, people sometimes actually snap triggers on an AR and you go and you cringe. You go, geez, you're going to break the receiver. You know, we designed this. You can do this all day long. You notice those little wings here?
Yes, I see them.
They take the loading and they park it out into the corners to the front of the receiver. So you'll get a few little marks, but you're not going to crack that receiver. It's intentional.
Wow.
Because we know people do that.
Well, they do. They do, yeah.
So our recoil system, unlike an AR-15 cycles straight back, ours is on an angle approximately parallel to this, or I'm sorry, perpendicular to this line. So we have a tube that runs down here on an angle that has a spring and a main action bar in there that adds mass to the carrier. And your carrier, which I'll show you in a minute, they push that spring up and down. It's also captive, so it can't come out on you.
Reminds me of a shotgun.
It's very much like a shotgun. You know, if you've ever taken apart a Browning A5 or a
1100.
1100, yeah, the 1100 or the 1148 has some little sheet metal things,
right.
but you know, Benelli comes to mind. A Benelli,
Beretta. Yep, they all got that link behind the bolt that goes into the stock.
Yep. So I'll show you what that looks like on this. The part of the key to it.
There's your link.
There's our link, just like that.
That looks more like a shotgun bolt than a rifle bolt.
Yep. And it has a little window through it that the hammer passes through.
Uh-huh. Just like a Browning.
Just like that. And so as this cycles, let me cock that hammer and just get it out of my way. So as this cycles, that's bending and going down in the tube.
So you probably have a pretty substantial spring in here with that lighter bolt,
We
right?
do.
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but we also have mass in the form of a steel bar that's pretty good length steel bar.
Okay. Okay.
And we load up that bar and full recoil. That bar is kind of what takes the recoil load.
Sure.
So this is a direct gas bolt. We also make for any of you who are familiar with our GXR gas piston conversion kits for the M4, we have a GXR gas piston conversion for the SCR also.
Okay.
The same kind of carrier length with the articulating strut, but it has an integral impact key here, and the kit just drops right in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Field strip on this is just like an AR. One key exception, you have this little pin.
You have an extra. You have a link.
The strut comes off.
And is your terminology a strut for that part?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an articulating strut,
Okay.
or a bolt carrier strut.
Okay.
So we, you know, in Brownells, also will be getting a whole bunch of these lower assemblies very soon. They've had them on order for a while, and that lower comes with this carrier, just as I'm showing it to you here. That way, if your preference is to build that with, say, a 6.5 Grendel, or maybe you want to go pig hunting with a 458 SOCOM, it's ideal for that. You literally would put your bolt into our carrier, put our carrier into your upper, put your upper onto this lower,
Sure.
and you have your SCR chambered in that caliber.
Sure.
And it's literally that quick.
And if you happen to move to a more restrictive state, you could rob the parts off your old gun and
You got
park
it.
your receiver somewhere else and you go with this.
Yep. One of the most unfortunate things are what we see happening out in places like California. You know, they rammed through this legislation last year that you know, we're gun guys, so we kind of stay on top of it, but there are a lot of people that don't, you know, they're not in it to that level where they're paying attention to legislation, and they can wake up one morning and be a felon.
Yes.
In possession of an assault weapon. They had no idea.
It's kind of scary.
It is very scary. Those folks can take those uppers, they can pull that carrier group out, and they can drop that. As long as they don't have a flash hider on it, I think they can have a muzzle brake.
That's
in California.
right. That counts against you as well.
But they can drop their upper. So if they have a, you know, let's say they have a Krieger barrel, they built up a varmint gun, they don't have to ship that out of state, or, you know, they can literally put that on this gun, and they've got all that accuracy and all the benefits that we see out of a regular AR apply to the, you know, you can put any top end, all the handguards change. It's just like having an AR, only it's in a more traditional stock platform.
Sure.
And when we think about it, this shaped stock, you know, we've seen this for 500 years in the gun, you know, the gun business. That's how long guns ship. Brown best,
This
right?
is particularly comfortable here.
Yeah.
Very thin.
Yep.
I see we're doing away with the selector, and we have a traditional
You
push-pull safety now.
Yep. It's just, again, ergonomics.
Which we're used to, again, in the shotgun world.
Yep.
Most of us are very familiar with the safety. It's
Yeah,
not a
when you
problem.
come up with that, you want to just hit it with your trigger finger.
Yeah.
And the other thing is it keeps your trigger finger out of the trigger well.
True.
Which is
Nice touch. Nice touch.
There are some that work up front as well. We wanted this to be just like a, you know, let's face it, a Remington, you know, Remington's done a terrific job for years with that 870 and the 1100 shotguns series. And we wanted to, you know, for all those people that love that kind of layout, we wanted to replicate that feel of a traditional platform in this gun.
I love that articulated strut because it allows you to have an actual line of sight just
Yep.
above the barrel like a traditional gun.
Yep.
You're not way up there.
Now we have this one, Steve, particularly configured with an Aimpoint T1 micro sight dropped right down on its lowest mount. You know, we've put some major optics on these before, and sometimes your ocular lens comes back over the
Right.
back end.
Right.
To get around that, you simply just change this with an extended tactical latch type of thing, and you
I
work
know where
right
you can get
around
plenty
it.
of those.
Brownells.
Yes, we got plenty. Not a problem.
You want to reassemble it?
Let's give it a try. Let's see. Well, I can do this part pretty
Yep.
easy. I know this part. I didn't know there was going to be a test.
No, it's not a test. Just
Oh, it's testing me.
what's that?
It's testing me.
Oh, sure. Sorry about that.
Need that to rotate. Need that to go in.
Yep.
Oh, the same pin holds the strut and the firing pin in place?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. I missed that.
Why complicate it?
I missed that in the presentation. Am I going in the right way?
You're perfect. You got it. Now that's just going to feed into the upper receiver.
Just like always, you extend your bolt.
Exactly.
Put it in. Put that forward. Okay.
Slide that all the way forward. Now there's one key difference when you assemble this over an AR. Your typical AR, we always hook up the front pin and we rotate it into place, right? In this particular platform, you push both of your pins out. And what I like to do, I push this all the way forward.
I can just barely see it protruding there.
Yep, it's just, and it may be hard to see. Let me see if I can get that swivel. There we go.
There we go. Perfect.
So we took the QD swivel out so you might be able to see this. What we're aiming to do is we want to put the ball end of this articulating arm, and we want to align it right here with this recoil system. So the way we accomplish that is pull both pins out, and there's a trigger right here. And what we're doing is we're literally laying the back lug, we rest it on the trigger bar, and we roll it over, and it drops right into place. And you can watch as you're doing that, and you'll see that will drop down and get in the cup. And then the easy test is you charge it. I like to charge them before I just make sure I got it.
It's working.
And then you push your pins in. You're ready to roll.
Wow.
Now we left one part out.
Yep. I was watching it, but it's easily put in.
I did it on purpose because
Very easy.
I want you to put it back in. There we go.
There we go.
Just slides right in.
I know.
Hey,
Beautiful.
you see that little groove?
Yep, I see it right there. So you got a channel in there for it.
Just slide it right into
Slides
place.
in.
Push it all the way forward,
Very solid.
or all the way, left to right.
Very solid.
And again, just lay that back on there.
Nice
Roll it
close
right in.
tolerances on that pocket there.
Function check. Good to go.
Wow.
Plug our sling swivel back in. Now, let's talk about the ergonomics for a moment, because this does come up. Our customers ask us about this occasionally. And what they say is, I have a hard time reaching my button because your hand on an AR-15 is down here.
Yes.
And they say, well, we have to slide up. What we have found in shooting works better for us, I'm a right-hand shooter, is I just reach right around and I just pull it right out. I just reach right around the front of the mag and I grab and strip, drop, plug the new one back up in.
And your fingers aren't all that long, so
No, I have fairly short fingers.
average build person and up should be able to handle that.
Now what I've done on my personal gun is I've added an ambidextrous bolt release, or a mag catch release. Okay, so, and I'm sure you guys carry those.
We do.
So what brand do you carry on those? You have the Troy or Knight Armament?
I think we've got, I'm going to have to look at the catalog, but I think we got a Power Custom, and I think we've got a Troy, and maybe one more, but it's not coming to me right now.
Well, we haven't found any that don't work. This is a standard mag catch, so as long as you can take that mag catch out, and it's easier since this comes out of, pulls out of the receiver, you're not having to work around this part.
Right.
You can put on an ambidextrous and then you're hitting it with your thumb.
Nice, very nice. That's quite a thing. We'll put it back on the stand here.
Sure. Do any of you have any questions about that or any of our products so far? Absolutely.
It is.
That's an AR-15.
I'm sorry?
Is that an AR-15?
Well, it's not an AR-15. It's called a FightLite SCR, that's Sport Configurable Rifle. And the gentleman's question was, is this legal in California? And it is legal in California. California, we were just speaking about that before you came up to the booth. California enacted several pieces of legislation last year. They rammed them through and severely limited what gun owners can possess in California. The FightLite SCR complies with all of that and then some. So It's also New York City. We worked with the NYPD for about 6 months for them to understand that this is not a military assault weapon. And once we some great people there at NYPD that we worked with, and they agreed that it's not.
You have them for like 6 hours.
Do we have them for 6 hours?
No.
No. Just for the standard AR-15 platform.
Yep.
What will cost run for the whole thing, and then for just the components that you're selling?
That I don't know.
The pricing? Yes, so the retail price,
Maybe later.
I don't know the pricing offhand, but the rifle's about $1,100 for the full rifle, and the lower I think is in the 6 and change. But again, comes with that bulk carrier group, so that adds some cost to it. But
I think that covers it. I think you had one more thing for us to look at, didn't you?
I actually have 2 more things.
2 more?
2 more.
Let's take a look. What do you got?
Why don't we steal that stand for a moment?
All right, no problem.
Now, which of you are die-hard AR guys? Anybody? All of you?
We're all in California.
But you're all in California? Well, part of this is still going to apply to you. This is FightLite Industries' first foray into the standard DI gun. If you look at historically what our products have been about, they're the belt fed on the one end of the AR spectrum, and then they're the SCR on the opposite end of the AR spectrum. And we've stayed out of the middle for a reason, and that reason was until we could bring something really big to the table, there's a lot of companies that do a really good standard AR. So what we did different on this is we took the barrel profile out of our belt-fed machine gun, which is, if you look online, do a Google search for a MCR 700-round burst, there's a continuous, boring 1-minute video. It's just a continuous 700 rounds of ammunition. So we put that barrel in here, but more significantly, we designed a new breech bolt system for this gun that will also fit other ARs and SCRs and basically any 5.56 AR out there. What's different about it is we took the Lug Geometry and the things we've learned over the years of building and running the MCR product line. We've taken that geometry and put it into a standard carbine bolt system. So you're going to have a really overbuilt bolt. If any of you ever Google M4 Kaboom, you'll see what happens. So standard square cut lug. This bolt features tangential radii. There is not a straight line in this bolt lug profile. It is a continuous radius transitioning into another radius. There are no straight lines in it. That increases the strength dramatically. And we've proven that on our MCR running heavy duty. The United States Army has shot over 100,000 rounds of what's called M855A1 EPR. Okay? That's operating at 67,000 PSI. That's close to a 70,000 round or 70,000 PSI proof load. So if you imagine that loading on the bolt like this, an M4 would never get there.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. And that was over a spread of a few weapons that they did. That wasn't on a single weapon. But my point is we're more than double what an M4 will give you on this bolt. So devil's in the details again. When we had something we could really bring to the table that's significant. The breech system is the most significant part of a gun, from a safety perspective. Your barrel puts your bullets on target, but your breech is what saves your life. It's a difference between a rifle and a hand grenade is the integrity of your breech system.
That's a good way to put it.
This is an overbuilt breech system. It is designed straight out of a sustained fire, lightweight belt-fed machine gun. So that's what's different about this gun. Out externally, it looks very similar to any M4.
It does.
Internally, this bolt system. You guys who are diehards shoot a lot of competition things. You'll want to check out this new bolt barrel.
It would be hard to wear that out.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Man,
so this is new for 2017, and we have one other thing that we're really pleased to be introducing. This is our new MXR. This is our gun that we're bringing into the sub-cal market is hot right now.
It's very hot.
9mm. Some people like 45, others like 40. You know, when we thought about our approach to that, we didn't want to just do another AR 9mm. You know, there's a lot of companies that do a really good AR 9mm.
There are now.
What we wanted to do was something that was caliber convertible, could use your choice of magazine, and what was key to it was your pistol magazine, not just a magazine. The real background on this gun is, you know, we all remember the Bataclan terrorist attack in France 2 years back, and if you remember the footage on Fox News or whatever your favorite news channel was, you saw a lot of the French gendarmerie police deployed in the streets, and they had a hodgepodge of guns. They had Mini 14s,
A little
they
this,
had
a little that.
M4s, Uzis, Beretta PM12s, you know, they had MP5s, they had a little bit of everything.
Standardization.
And they had no commonality in magazine between each other, you know, save for maybe a few people. But everybody had something different going on. So we said, you know what? We see an opportunity, and we're going to put an effort, a real R&D effort into designing for that opportunity. So what we did was we came up with a caliber convertible, magazine convertible, submachine gun. Now, we have a select fire model. This particular setup, we're going to be happy to bring into the commercial world as a pistol as well. The pistol calibers are hot. I know you guys in California are going to have a tough time with this one probably, but I'm sure we'll have another solution for you. We never leave you out. This is left side charge. The barrel comes out very much like an Uzi. Who has an Uzi?
Nice and easy.
Nice and easy. And so suppressors slide right onto that receiver thread and lock up just like an Uzi suppressor. So for example, if you, let's say you're a Glock user,
Right.
you know, we're all Glock, I'm a Glock guy. I shouldn't say we all are, I'm a Glock guy. Some people like Smith & Wesson, some like Berettas. It doesn't really matter what your favorite pistol is. You're going to have a magazine more than likely that will function in this gun. We'll have a solution for you to use your SIG 226, your Beretta 92, you know, your Glock mags.
So you can adapt this for different pistol mags altogether.
Correct.
Okay.
So we can run 22 rimfire, 9mm, 45 ACP, and cartridges in between. So also your 40 Smith &
Wow.
Wessons and that type of thing.
Nice. Not a lot of that stuff out there for the other calibers other than 9.
Well, there's not, but we wanted a very handy, lightweight. There you go.
It's about as tiny as it's going to get.
Yep.
There's a side charger. I like that.
It is a side
I
charger.
love that.
Here's a couple of different magazines, both empty, of course. There's a Magpul Glock 17 style magazine.
That's what it's going to look like.
Yep.
And that's all the wider this fore end is.
Yep.
There is not much there to get in your way. It's wonderful.
Well, it's a monolithic receiver design, so our rail, our handguard, our receiver body, it's all one piece of material. So you don't have alignment problems with handguards and things like that.
You can be right up here and charge it, no problem.
Absolutely.
Or right out here, either way, whichever
Yep.
way you want to shoot it.
Yep. And then if you want to go to
Wonderful.
a larger mag, just swap it out.
Oh, that's cool. That looks Star Wars there, man.
Yeah.
That is slick.
It's a lot of fun to shoot if you're an Instagram fan. FightLite.industries is our tag out there, and you can go out and see videos of the MXR in action. As soon as we announce these Brownells, I got an email from Paul Levy, said, when are you going to have that 9mm available?
We're pretty excited about it,
Yeah.
I got to admit.
So we're, naturally, like I said, Brownells, even before I had a gun company, I was a Brownells customer, so I've been on both sides of that relationship, both a supplier and a customer.
Now, does this share a lot of common parts with an AR, standard AR?
One, not so much, not like the MCR or the SCR, except for your grip points, your stock. This has a blade, blade stock on it, but it's a standard AR style thread here.
Okay.
So you can screw in a regular M4, so you can have an SBR. We plan on a 16-inch barrel model with a full telescoping stock. Magpul furniture. The internal fire control components are completely interchangeable.
Okay, I saw the 2 pins and they looked about the same distance from
Yeah,
each other.
good eye. Steve, you know, Geisley trigger, drop right in. McCormick drops right in. So your favorite AR trigger will more than likely drop in and run on this gun.
The selector the same?
Yep.
Okay, makes it
So
easy.
Battle Arms Development has really nice selector setup. Drop right into the system.
We got a full-length Picatinny rail to mount all kinds of stuff, one underneath.
Yep. And one of the things that was very critical to us, you know, that what was everybody, you know, cost at the counter, right? That's the big one. And quite frankly, we see a lot of guns out there that, you know, we don't necessarily know everything that goes into them, but we've designed and sold plenty of guns, and there's a fair price point, and we think we're going to be around $699 on the entry level gun.
Really?
On this. Yep. Retail, the MSRP.
Nice.
The MSRP.
Oh, you'll do well.
$699.
You'll do well with that.
And now let me clarify that. We're looking at a polymer lower at that price point, but again, you know, full duty lower. And then they'll go up from there if you have a billet lower, like this one's configured with a billet lower. But that's a lot of value for a really fair price.
Yes, it is. Yeah, if you ever handled one of these, you'd know exactly what we're talking about. These are cool. Man, Jeff, I can't thank you enough for coming over. This has been great.
Well, thank you so much. And if you have any questions, you know, we're down in booth 7406, FightLite Industries. Come on down, handle the weapons, ask your questions. We've also got them in the new products display. And I think Brownells has belt-fed MCR right here that Lou Ferrigno, his big green dream gun. So thank you very much, Steve.
With all this stuff, you got something for every state in the union. That's legal pretty much.
Yep.
That's great.
We're always creating at FightLite Industries. Steve, thank you so much for having
Jeff.
us.
Thanks for coming
Really
by.
appreciate it.
All right. That's it for right now. Tune in later on. We'll have more coming to you from SHOT Show 2017 here at the Brownells booth.